Did you know that Google personalizes many searches by city and Also Ask is the only tool to access live People Also Ask data at city level? Try for free at alsoasked.com.
Tired of SEO guesswork? Quadra's AI agent goes deeper to uncover high-impact optimizations and completes hours of SEO in minutes. Get started now.
I was going to say that SEO with Fat Joe is as peaceful as this, but then the birds are all having fights.
Hello Brighton. So yeah, today I'm going to look at how to use AI to harness Google APIs. So as Tasman said, I'm the technical lead at Fly High Media. We're a digital marketing agency in the northwest of England, and one of my biggest interests is speeding up SEO auditing and workflows. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. So hands up, is anyone using AI to generate codes to speed up your workflow at the moment? Yeah, definitely, that's good. Is anyone currently using Google APIs at all? So today, we're going to be combining them two things to speed up your content auditing. Oh, not content auditing, I did content auditing last time. That was my last talk. Is how to use AI to harness Google APIs. So, first thing is what tools we're going to use. So I'm going to use Google Sheets, Google Apps Scripts, which is built into Google Sheets, and ChatGPT. You can use any AI, or as we were talking about before, LLMs instead. So yeah, I'm going to talk about ChatGPT today using that. I have used Google AI Studio as well, which works as well as ChatGPT as well. So firstly, I thought I'd talk about why use Google Scripts and API and AI. So once you've got the actual AI code running and pulling through the data from Google APIs, it's a lot quicker. It's free, so you don't have to have extra tools. Google Sheets is free, Google Apps Scripts is free, included in Google Sheets itself. And as long as you don't hit the quotas on APIs, it's free as well. And one of the biggest things why I like using AI instead of using other platforms is because we can customize how the data actually is pulled through into the Google Sheet. So I thought I'd talk about what Google APIs are actually useful for search marketers first. So we've got Google Search Console API. I will go through a little later on what we can actually use, what different data we can pull through from the different platforms. Google Analytics Metrics, so GA4. Google Ads API, we've got access to that as well. Google Business Profile API, we can pull through from that. Page Speed and Core Web Vitals, right. Of course, Google doesn't have a Page Speed or Core Web Vitals platform AI and API anymore. However, we can use the CRUX API, which does actually do Core Web Vitals, and also we can use other external platforms like GT Metrics and stuff like that. This talk, I'm specifically talking about Google APIs, but you can actually use this for any API really, as long as all the AI should know how it harnesses and how to pull through the data. And of course, as I've just said, other APIs you can use as well. So what are Google Apps Scripts first? I thought I'd go through. So Google Apps Scripts is a free platform which is available within the Google Sheets platform, which you just go under extensions and app scripts. That will then load up the app scripts platform. You can create custom formulas, run different queries with this to then pull through the data into Google Sheets. So in other words, you can create your own custom formulas. So you might not want to use, for example, import XML. You can then use this. The great thing about this is that you can customize it as much as you want, what script you want to pull in. You're not limited to the formulas that are actually built into Google Sheets. So now let's actually start looking at actually extracting the data from APIs. So today I'm going to talk about Google Search Console. There's a lot more, of course, but I haven't got enough time to go through every single platform and but we'll just talk about Google Search Console API. So firstly, what we need to do is actually generate the APIs. So if you're using an external platform, you want to log into the platform. So for example, SE ranking or something like that, you can pull in there and get the API key from there. For Google, it's all in one platform, which is called the Google Developer Console. This then allows you to create all the APIs that Google has. You can see a full list and what APIs. There's so many, of course, maps. This is how you literally create Google Maps in websites. You use the API on this. So I'm not going to go into how you actually get the APIs. Have put together a guide. There is a link to this later on that in the talk, where there's a link to the slides and also this guide as well, so for you to access it later. So let's extract the clicks and impressions for multiple URLs. So that's what we're going to look at today. So I'd ask the ChatGPT or whatever AI or LLM you're using, I want a formula that can extract the clicks and impressions from Google Search Console from a URL selected in a formula. This will then tell Google, the AI, that you want to create a specific formula for this, to then pull the data straight in and create a custom formula to pull that in. So once the AI has created that specific code, you want to ensure that it has client ID and client secret in the URL, in the code. In other words, normally it's really quite near the top of the code that's generated by AI. This is where you'll put the client ID and the client secret, which is your ID and secret from Google Cloud Console or whatever platform you're using. It depends on how their API works and what you need to put in. So it does depend on that, but for Google, it is the client ID and the client secret. So if it doesn't have that, then you want to put into AI, please provide the client ID and client secret to get the data from Google Search Console, for example, or whatever API you're using. Sometimes it'll do it a different way where it tells you to run it, which is not the way we're talking about today, but that's what, with the formulas, it's a lot more control over actually what you can pull through and etc. So this is how it actually looks on the code. So it'll say OAuth set up for handle authorization for Google Search Console API or whatever API you're using. Then you put the client secret in your OAuth ID and client secret into there. Then what I say is I want to provide the dates and the domain in the formula from a cell. So of course, with Search Console, if we want to pull through the clicks and impressions for a specific date range, we can then put the date range into the formula. So normally I'd put these in a cell in Google Sheets, then select those two cells, which the start date and the end date, and then you can pull that through, and then the API will pick that up. Another thing we need to make sure to put into the Google search, into the actual Google Sheet, is the site URL. Depending on how you've got the Google Search Console set up, you choose either. So if you've got it set up as a domain property verified through DNS, you want to use the sc-domain : and then whatever your domain is. If it's a URL prefix, then you put HTTPS in the full URL. Just make sure that when you actually pull it through, check which one you're using for your Google Search Console and then use whichever one it is. But you have to put the SC domain bit in if it is a domain property, otherwise Google will be able to pick it up and know what you're pulling through. So the next thing after that is we need to enable the OAuth 2.0 in Google Apps scripts. So the OAuth 2.0 is how Google authorizes the script to then send the data. You send your request and then bring it back into the Google Sheet. So in order to do this, once you've got your script in here, I also recommend that where it says files, you'll see code.js, for example, when you first set it up. If you've got multiple ones on the same sheet that you want to create different formulas for different things, I'd recommend just renaming that. You can right-click on it and rename it. It just makes it easier for if you go back in the future to need to edit it, at least you know which code you're actually editing. Otherwise, it can be an absolute nightmare trying to find which code it is. So in order to add in the OAuth 2 library, you have to go into the libraries on the left-hand side and click on the plus up there, and then it will pop up saying add a library. It says you can look up available by you have to look it up by their script ID. When I first got this, I was like, because I was running it and I was like, well, why is this not working? It was because of this. So what I had to do is Google the Google API, what library it is, OAuth 2.0, what library that is and what the script ID of that is. Sometimes the internet didn't get it right. It seems that Google there was an old AI API script ID, and then then they seemed to change it. But at the moment, up to now, this is the one that you have to put in. Of course, I'm going to give the slides later, so don't worry about copying that, taking a photo or anything about that now. But if you put that in, it should then say successfully looked up the OAuth 2 library. Normally, it will select the available version, the latest version. I'd recommend using the latest version because, of course, Google's going to be updated anyway, and the identifier is just OAuth2. You just click Add then, and then it adds it to the script, then it will work. So my recommendation is, for example, if we're saying we want to pull through the clicks and impressions, we want to really split this in, instead of just pulling it into one cell in the formula, or the formula pulling it through into different cells and overwriting whatever you've got in there already in the sheet. I'd recommend just saying to it, I want to separate the metrics into different formulas. So you've got one formula to pull through the clicks, the impressions, CTR, whatever you want to pull through. So base it on metrics. So you can just tell it, I want to split these. And then what it should do is then give you the formula for each of the scripts, each of the different data that you're pulling through. So it's just an easier way to actually run it on that. So once that's done, we have to authorize the script, and you've got the code. Actually, this bit can be a bit of a pain sometimes when you're authorizing the script. However, just go with it and it should hopefully work. So I'll go through how you do this now. So in the thing, you'll see at the top, it'll say authorize. If it doesn't say authorize, drop down and check the authorize there. If it isn't, then likely the code hasn't generated it correctly. So you just need to pull it back and say, oh, where is the authorized code where I need to run it? Then hopefully the AI will generate the code again with the authorize. So then you just select that little drop down and click authorize. And then what you do then is run. This will then show you an execution log on the actual Google Apps Scripts platform. So it says, please authorize by visiting this URL. Problem is, of course, that link isn't clickable. So what you've got to do is actually copy it. You have to highlight it and copy it. I don't know why Google haven't actually internally linked on it. God knows why. Maybe I need to ask them about that. So then once you've put that URL into a thing, you copy that into a new tab and then follow the instructions to validate it. When you're validating it, it will say Google hasn't verified this app because you've created your own app in their platform. Don't worry about this. It's not like it's running on your computer. It's just Google because they just haven't technically verified the app that they're using. So in other words, if you click on the advanced section, this is normally on Chrome. I'm not 100% sure how it does it on other browsers, but on Chrome, this is how it does. Then you click on advanced and then it says go to untitled project. If it doesn't say untitled, it'll see whatever your project title is, which is at the top of the Google Apps script. If you click on this, it does say it's unsafe, don't worry about it. Click on that, and then it should actually, it'll then hopefully authorize the run of the script, and then you can go into your ChatGPT, or if you've copied the formulas previously, and then you can start running those custom formulas you've made already. So if it doesn't work, of course, it's just going back again and just asking AI, oh, what's the issue? And then you just do have to authorize it every time. It's a bit annoying, but once you've got it running, it's absolutely fine and you'll have a great time using it. So I'm going to talk now about other use cases. So that's the basics of how you actually set it up. So other use cases. So I'm going to go through each of the APIs that Google's got now and a few ideas of how you can actually use it. So for Google Search Console, you can do automated reporting of site performance. You can put through the site clicks, impressions, everything that we've gone through already, and see how the site is performing in general. You can identify and monitor crawling errors. So if there's any errors with the crawling of the website, you can pull that through from the API into a Google Sheet. For example, 404 errors. I've tried that, and it is actually quite interesting what it pulls through. And then also you can get related queries to content as well. So if you're auditing content and you want to get related queries to that content, you can then pull that through from Google Search Console and then link it and then have it directly in your Google Sheet. So looking at GA Google Analytics 4 now, we can monitor e-commerce tracking data, so we can pull that through directly from GA4 as long as you've got your GA4 set up correctly. We can do monthly traffic overview, so we can pull through everything like that. We can use Looker Studio for this, but if you want to use it on a spreadsheet instead, you can pull that through directly. Tracking campaign UTM parameter performance as well. So if you've got a campaign that you're running that's got UTM tracking on there, you can then use the API to then pull that data in and then report on that really easily. So of course, then at least you can do different graphs, everything in Google Sheets then. So Google Business Listings, so reporting on customers' actions and insights for multiple listings. So of course, when we go use Google when we go onto the general Google business listing platform, you've got to go into each listing to then see the performance. What you can do here is you can connect it to multiple Google business listings. So it's useful if you've got multiple locations for your business and with multiple different business listings. You can then run that data and put it all into one sheet instead of you having to go into different sheets or go onto their platform. The CRUX, which is where we can extract real user experience data, i.e. core web vitals. We can pull that data through from the Google API from using that API. So now I'm going to talk about why not use other platforms that are out there already. So the problem is they are expensive. So this way is free as long as you don't hit the API limits. Data is not customizable, so when you're pulling it through into different platforms, can't customize it. You have to export it from the platform, then edit the format of it, and then pull that straight through again. So with this, you can tell the AI exactly how you want it to structure and pull it straight through into the website. So it makes it so much easier and saves you time at the end of the day. Real-time collaboration. So the great thing about this is that you can share it with your team. So if all you want to go onto one sheet and you can literally see all the data pulling through directly, you can pull that all into one system. So last bit we're going to go over now is issues you may come across when actually running the scripts and everything. So API quotas and limits. I've personally not hit any API quotas and limits. If you do hit them, there are a few Google will start charging you. That's why normally when you create APIs, it will actually ask you for your billing details, but don't worry, it'll only charge you if you hit that limit and over. But personally, I haven't ever hit those API quotas and limits. Authentication errors, so in other words, how the actual platform is connecting straight into Google Search Console and pulling that data in. Sometimes there's authentication issues checking that it's. So if you have any of these issues, normally if there's an error that comes up when you're in the Google Scripts section, you can just put it into AI and say, right, okay, fix this, and it should fix it for you. Sometimes data formatting issues, again, just go into the AI and actually tell it exactly how you want it. For example, if you've just said to it, oh, I want it in this X format, you might want to then create an example of the format and put it into the AI and then give it to you in that. Then hopefully it'll know exactly what format you want and hopefully get the data formatting correct for you next time. Like I said, if there's any other issues, just use AI to troubleshoot the issues. It's there, it's working, and I've had a few issues with it, but not major issues that AI hasn't been able to come across. So yeah, that's it. So you can get access to the slides on the QR code there. It's also on Speaker Deck as well. Give everyone for a minute to... Yeah. It will be shared on the Brighton website as well after. And also the guide, if you scan that code there, it will give you the guide which gives you the access to how to create the Google APIs. And also there is a link to the slides there as well, so you can get access to both there. Thank you very much. Any further questions, please get in touch with me, connect with me on LinkedIn. Thank you.